Now that we've read Genesis 1:10 and Targum Onkelos, it's a good opportunity to review the issue of noun states in Jewish literary Aramaic, specifically regarding this word. It's parallel with the word for seas in Hebrew, but why does it have a tere yod at the end? Let's talk about noun state endings. So in Genesis 1:1 and 2, the very first word is hirik yod nun, which is the masculine plural absolute ending for nouns. Later in the verse, masculine plural determined state, ayah, where that yod for the reader is a clear indication of this being a plural noun. And then in verse 2, tere yod, which is signaling the masculine plural construct, where this is face of the water, where just like in Hebrew, the face term is not singular. So in Genesis 1:1 and 2 in Targum Onkelos, we have all three of the noun states with which we became familiar in biblical Aramaic. Now, back to Genesis 1:10, that tere yod is not signaling a construct because there is no absolute noun following it. You see that conjunction and a verb. So what's going on? It's certainly not the first time someone has noticed this, and in fact, there's been a proposal by Jan Wim Wisselius that there's actually an uncounted state in Jewish literary Aramaic, and what we have is the masculine plural of that state in Genesis 1:10, where this state is for gentilics and a certain set of common nouns and adjectives, where they tend to be referring to a collective concept. So here we have the seas without pointing to any particular one. And there's a lower degree of referentiality than the determined state. So it's not those seas, these seas, but just the seas concept in general, but an identifiableness of what we're talking about that is somehow greater than would have been expressed in the absolute state. At least that's the theory that Gar and Wisselius are bringing forward for these kind of nouns. And we notice that the proposed uncounted state in masculine singular looks like the determined state. If that's true, that could explain quite a bit about why there are non-determined, determined state singular nouns in Targum Onkelos. So this is just a theory, but it's worth keeping in mind when we hit a tere yod, and it does not make sense for it to be a construct in our readings in Jewish literary Aramaic.